All right, what's up, everybody? My name is Chris Mayer, and you're tuned in to the BitShow, the Boston Indies talk show and happy hour. I'm gonna turn off the pre-show banner real quick. All right, there we go. Welcome to BitShow. It's gonna be the last show of the year. Next week is gonna be the Boston Game Dev Holiday Party, so we hope we'll see you there instead of on this show. That's next. Actually, I'm gonna post a link to it. There you go. It's in the chat. Please join us. I'm going to be involved with a couple very exciting segments that are going to be revealed, I think, early next week. You can follow Boston Postmortem on Twitter. They're tweeting out every day. One of the exciting events that's going to be at the holiday party. Two other announcements before we get started. Another Castle is having a coffee hour tomorrow morning at 8:30. Posted a link for that in the chat as well. And, of course, next Tuesday, 2% Human Show returns. Myself and Ichiro and Lars Doucet covering between 50 and 60 games, I think. Does that sound about right?
That is accurate. We might go for 61.
Wow. Really getting wild on 2% Human Show.
Yeah.
Check that out Tuesday night. I'll post a link for that in the chat as well. And, yeah, I think that's going to do it for me. Come to the holiday party. It's going to be a really good time. Let's get started.
Let's go!
And we are live.
Hey!
So, about those mugs.
That's a slick intro. Wow. Who made that?
Luigi did the animation, and
Cool.
John did the music. Team effort here.
Yeah.
Community effort here on our community show.
Let's go!
So, Ziba,
Yeah.
how you doing?
I'm
You
doing
look like you. Yeah.
Hair's sticking up all over. I swear that wasn't happening 2 seconds before the show. Ugh, my vanity.
That's fine. You look great.
Thank you. I finally played Spellbreak. I feel a little bad it took that long. It took a call from my 9-year-old nephew. Called me up. Was like, I found a game.
Wait, really? Your 9-year-old nephew found Spellbreak. That means the system's working.
Well, his parents don't let him play Fortnite because there's guns, but Spellbreak is all magic. And I didn't realize I was playing it. They didn't use any verbs of death or kill. It's all exiled or returned or whatever.
You've been exiled to death.
So he's like, I found Spellbreak. And I was like, oh, yeah, I know those people. They're local Boston people. I used to share an office with them. I know them. And he was absolutely in no way impressed whatsoever. That was like...
They never are. These little
No.
punks.
I have some nibblings, and I was like, yeah, I make games. And they're like, no, you don't. I'm like, I do though.
Sorry, you're too intellectual.
And they're like, prove it. I'm like, what? Like, are you kidding?
Did you make Fortnite? Seth?
Did you make Fortnite? I'm like, no, I didn't make Fortnite. They're
We're
like,
gonna ask you these questions shortly.
How
We're
did
gonna
I
grill
make
you.
Fortnite? Well, I did not make Fortnite. I'm still not super sure what Fortnite is. It's got a gun, right? It's like GoldenEye, I think. It's like GoldenEye, but
Right.
like...
I'm going to take a minute
Yes.
and rewrite our questions tonight to be all about making Seth redesign Fortnite.
Yeah.
Before we get
Before we get to Seth.
reviews, we want to do a quick review of bit showboating. That's what they call a segment, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You called
What's
it
everyone
that.
been up to this week? All right. To start, it's been a bit of a light week. It's the light week in quantity, but a big one for hits. Way to go, Gwen and Abby. Gwen bringing in the big prize in the AT&T Unlocked Games competition.
Congratulations, Gwen.
That's
Gwendolyn Bond you're talking about,
Yeah.
right?
To be honest, wasn't really following the whole thing, but when I heard she was in it, I saw her being like, "Hey, vote for me." I knew she'd win. I was like, who's going to be competing with her?
Because because the massive voter fraud that you enacted was a
Oh
success.
God,
Anyway, moving on. I can't see any of the showboating notes this week, so sorry, Ziba, it's all you.
All right,
I'm just gonna have to respond
we
to you.
got Dana's snowy prototype. This was looking good. I got particularly excited when I saw the show up in snowboarding because, apologies to Dana, I haven't met you. I didn't know you were local. I just saw your stuff floating around the internet. I saw it on Reddit or Twitter or something. I saw this video here. I was like, what? That's local? Awesome. And again, but I shouldn't be surprised. Things that the whole world enjoys come out of Boston. Because that's what
Vaccines, tea parties.
Yeah. All right.
That's about it.
Matt with Betty and Earl. Yeah, I like how even his bare pixelated screenshots, they just got this, this bit of glow, some carefully chosen color palettes. It just says this, I don't know, this promise that the whole end product's going to have this well considered. Even though it's minimalist, it's still those elements are well considered. So awesome, Matt, keep it coming.
I like the way that shot that I assume they have on screen, but cannot tell because I don't actually have internet, is it kind of reminds me like the Nintendo Power magazines where it's like all the levels, and then there's probably like how to beat them at the lower right.
Yeah, whatever kids become the greatest fan of this game when it's out they would love to have this printed out on their wall. That would be
yes.
I need more maps printed on my wall. All right. And
you need anything printed on your wall. I don't see it like behind your head.
I feel bad. Well, I got this nice print from Luigi. Luigi made me that a long time ago. It's a Girls Like Robots original print from Luigi. Aside from that, I got a Captain Astronaut thing on the other side, which is
fair enough. And a wall full of mugs. I get it.
I got a Neon Mega Man, and I got
everyone. He's lying. You can't prove any of this.
Yeah. I chose a virtual background that's sad and sparse. It's not even real. The real one is the same thing, but it doesn't have the picture.
I miss Captain Astronaut.
Anyways, we were giving you extra banter time just so that you could look at the animals, which is more important. We got people's cute animals this week, just to fill.
Are they actually indie animals?
Yeah, they got all their. I don't know. Do we say parents? Is that too uber cute? If we say, oh, their parents, we've got their.
I deny that I don't begrudge people, but I will judge them.
So it's got Ryan Canul's guinea pigs. Are they playing an important part in any of the development work you're doing with them? Are you testing?
Are you talking? Are you referring to Christina and Oliver as guinea pigs?
It says. Are those? I'm sorry. Are those the employees at
Yeah, those are the folks working. I've never met them or seen them, so they could be guinea pigs.
They could be guinea pigs. Well, they're pictured right now, spinning around in the.
No, that is they.
And that's what Boston's been up to this week.
That's amazing. Look, we've been up to 17 things during this conversation. Boston, you're amazing. Don't change.
Yeah, bringing in big prizes, having cute animals, making attractive things. I don't know. It's a good time to be here.
It's fine. It's good. Should we wait? What do we have to? Are we talking about something else before we introduce Seth? I forget what it is.
This is your last chance to say anything before the shiny whirlwind that is Seth's mind takes center stage.
No, I think it's like we're good with that. I'm good with that. Let's bring him on.
All right. Well then, all right. I'm going to do Seth's introduction here as soon as I can move the window centered so I don't look like I'm staring off screen. Today's guest is Seth Alter. Seth has been a math teacher, an organizer of Boston Indies, an artist in residence, a programmer for his own studio, Subaltern Games, and others. But what I absolutely love about Seth is that he is a passionate game maker in the fullest sense of the word. Many of us are passionate about making games, but Seth is out there making games about his passions. Ethics, education, politics, capitalism, religion. His heart isn't just on his sleeve, it's in his games. And that's what makes Subaltern Games so meaningful. And why I'm pleased to invite you to welcome Seth Alter. Hey.
Oh, hey.
Hello.
Yay.
Welcome. Welcome from the pre-show to here.
How are you?
Oh, well, that was a nice little intro, so I'm feeling pretty good. I'm pretty good today. Feeling pretty good. I am very happy to be here.
All right, enough of the softball questions. Why do you Why do you do this?
Well, so wait a second. Let's before we say why, I think that's an important question. Like, Seth doesn't just make, games about jumping over things. He makes, games about.
Should we get into Seth's oeuvre?
Yeah, I think we should. Otherwise people aren't going to understand the poignancy of your question.
I've heard it both ways, but sure. So, then let's ask Seth to describe his oeuvre. Then, like, what would you describe your library of output as?
It's well, let's see. I made a game today. I released a game today. Did you see that? Yeah,
no.
I made yeah.
What?
Let me.
Was it on the internet? Did it go onto Reddit? I
Yeah,
was only on Reddit.
Not Reddit. What's Reddit?
I was stalking your Twitter today. You put out something today.
Today, yeah, it was a few hours ago. I slipped it under the radar.
What is it?
It's called A Great Miracle Happened Here, and it's a tabletop role-playing game where you spin dreidels and you play as Jewish revolutionaries.
I didn't realize that was within hours. No, yeah, I was looking at that, absolutely. And that's beautiful. That's
Par for the course.
yes.
Well, let's see. We have a game about colonialism, a game about turning children into pineapples as a metaphor for the failing education system.
Yeah, I'll say that my earlier work. I'll say at this point, I endeavored to make more positive stuff than I used to. So a lot of what I'm making is about like revolt and resistance that's like ultimately winnable, which is not what my stuff used to be. So I make a lot of politically charged and politically motivated games, and they have also been uploading a lot of tools. Professionally, I'm also a research software engineer at MIT. So I have an enormous open source project that I'm working on for work. And that's sort of motivated me also to like make lots of tools. So whenever I have things I've made for my games, I upload them also as repos if I can sort of section them off.
Yeah. So you've got a lot of stuff, social issues, politics, culture,
and a lot of like religious
stuff too. How do you choose? Like, I'm going to make a game about this today. What I'm going to do? Does it feel like is it irrepressible, or do you like I need to do this?
Yeah, like in the year 2020, it's definitely been like a stress reaction. I think I was saying in our little chat before that, like, you're like, what's new with you? And I was going through my repos. I'm like, I made 8 repos that are like in a state of completion this year. So there's definitely been some sort of like drive to like zero in on something and do it. But as always, I tend to pick projects that I think will fit into the form well. You know, I don't see an issue. I'm like, I'm going to make a game about that. I see an issue that looks like a game, and I'm like, that looks like a game, and then I go do that.
Wow. So I was trying, I was just going through your games, and I've played a number, and I've been reading about them. I'm trying to. I was trying to put my nose on like what the patterns are. Like so you have a lot of religious sort of with either Jewish religious or cultural themes.
Mm-hmm.
And is this something that you do to explore these areas yourself, or are you trying to educate others, or you just see it as a rich sort of playground for your ideas? What draws you to these areas?
Some of it is just self-expression, where there's like a flavor of Judaism that I want to see out there in the world. So I'm trying to. And how
is that flavor aquatic? Because you made an aquatic Jewish calendar.
I did make an aquatic Jewish calendar.
Could you explain that a bit, please?
Well, that was initially part of a much larger project that really since the pandemic I haven't touched, and that's a work in progress. I think that could easily occupy the whole show, so I don't necessarily want to talk about it because I haven't touched it in a year. But in that setting, there's an alternate history with alternate Jews in like a mirrorverse of our world, and they're primarily mariners. So I was thinking like, what if they had like, what if they measured things by tides? Like what if their day started and stopped at high tide? What would that even look like? So like, well, actually I can answer this. Like I'll make myself an aquatic calendar, and that was a very fun project to make. I update it every year.
This sounds like you took some of the environmental storytelling from your larger project and cleaved it off into a separate thing. Yeah,
that project became like 4 separate projects. And the central thing is still under wraps. But so that project scrapes tidal data from NOAA stations, and then using Python and converts that with LaTeX into like a calendar where each day starts at high tide and stops at the second high tide, and months start at the new moon. So now I have like a visual of like, what does this even look like if you try to abide by this?
And talking tech for a minute, I do appreciate Seth is one of the, I feel like few other Python-centric game developers.
I am. Professionally, I work on a huge API that interfaces between Python and Unity. So I've gotten very, very proficient at both of those and the intermediate part specifically. Yeah, so I'm very interested in expressing Judaism in a way that I have the means to do, and also that's an example of like, this is a code project. Like, what does a title calendar look like? That like, actually, this is a solvable question. You simply scrape a lot of text files and you do a lot of regex until you have your answer.
And I love that you really don't seem to be hung up on whether you're working on a game or a project or the definition of game, period. Is that something?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. I've long since like stopped being interested in that question. I definitely make whatever, you know. I wouldn't say the thing I just released is strictly speaking a game.
Does that complicate you getting it out to people to help them understand what they're receiving from you, or do you not worry about that?
So I don't run in Subaltern games like an indie studio anymore, and for me that's been very freeing as an artist, because I don't give a shit if no one gets what it is. I'm going to just make whatever. Whereas like, you know, when I started doing this, I was constantly fighting like myself with my own ideas to like really explain to people what these pineapples are, that they're not tropical fruit, they're like a metaphor, and like I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah. Well, let's take a step back. So it was like 7 years ago. You were working much harder in like really clear indie terms. You ran a Kickstarter, a successful Kickstarter for neocolonialism. And you were saying before the show, people that still has a fan base. And then you worked on No Child Left Behind, which is referred to as pineapples, which were that was a metaphor for kids. No child left. Did I say pineapple? Child? Anyways.
Whatever.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
They're the same thing at the end of the game. Play the game and you'll know. Well,
you were working hard in that indie space and doing good things.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're happy to be out of that.
I am. The game after that I released was Trader Nightly, which I don't think many people played, but it's a weird project, and it felt very freeing to like just experiment with form, in this case interactive fiction. And then I made Hexadecimate, which actually did do very well, and that was sort of an accident.
Cool. That's a physical card game. People can
yeah.
Link, we got a link to that one.
Yeah, I still have 2 copies, and I'm not planning to do another run anytime soon. So
Hexadecimate, that is witches fighting the alt-right. Can you give a better? What's the pitch?
Yeah, so it's a cooperative card game, so we're all on the same side fighting alt-right occult magic, and you can't play as the alt-right. We're all together, and we don't actually attack the alt-right. We're perpetually on the defensive, but we can outlast them if we protect each other carefully. Right. So Chris is zooming in on one of the alt-right cards, the frog board cards.
So you actually had this physically produced?
Yeah, this was physically produced. That turns out
to be... How big was the initial run?
Huh?
How big was the run?
It's been a few years. It's been a couple of years and a pandemic, so I'm not going to have that number, but it was like 200, I think 200.
That's pretty awesome.
250, something like that. Yeah, it did. That was pretty cool. People really like it, but it's like exhausting to sell a physical game. It's a totally different beast. You can't just give out Steam keys. Did you know?
No, that's tougher. But you have worked on physical stuff before and since. What are you working on in that space now?
Everything I do now is like downloadable PDFs. I'm not trying to do anything with like packages and distribution. Again, that was extremely difficult. I think it's like mechanically, design-wise, etc. Hexadecimal is probably the strongest thing I've ever made, but really, really hard to get out there.
One of your PDFs you just put out that I don't know when you put it out. I think it's pretty recent. That really grabbed me, and I'm going to mispronounce it. Pishpasha. Pishapacia. Could you explain that? I was really charmed.
Oh yeah, I made that when I went to go see my Nana when she had a stroke.
I didn't realize it was autobiographical.
Yeah, it's autobiographical.
What could please for the audience who has
I went to my Nana who just turned 90 and survived the stroke. This was September, and is doing pretty well actually. She really looked like she was on death's door in September. So I went down to New Jersey to see her, and we have a card game in the family that's like a family card game that no one else plays. So we played it together, and then I made a little zine about playing it with her. That's a pretty good example of like something that's like, this is obviously it's about a game, it's about her feeling, and
well, it's both what you've written up here is both a way to play a game and sort of the roles or the feelings you should have while playing the game,
right?
And the social, emotional reasons to subvert the rules of the game and the outcome
right.
of the game.
Right. I think of it as an autobiographical poem.
Yeah, it's a beautiful little short story written in game mechanic plus the subversion of game mechanic.
Yeah.
All about 4 pages. Plus, there's an actual game you can play.
Yes, my Nana is the actual gamer of the family. She's ruthless. Like, she's extremely competitive. I don't.
Can you talk about the subversion aspect of it?
Well, neither of us could remember how to play it for different reasons, and the zine is like that's sort of what it the poem or zine or whatever revolves around. So I explain, like, as far as I know, she's got the rules wrong. She's not doing it right. And then I say, but she's actually in like severe pain right now, and emotional pain, and that's why she can't remember it. And I can't remember it because I played this with her 15 years ago. So the actual rules of the game are gone. Like, neither of us remember, but I did learn that she learned them from her grandmother, and her grandmother learned it from the old country.
Yeah.
So it's about. Yeah, I explain the rules, and then I like explain like mechanical terms. This is why we're not sure what's going on, but it's mostly about this experience I had.
Yeah, so sorry, I didn't mean to jump into something so personal. I didn't realize it was autobiographical, but it's also I really appreciate it as a I don't know, this cultural element it's about tradition and where tradition actually meets humans and how they
sure.
Which I think seems to be sort of how some of your other work on HIO, you have a script for how to run. Was it a Seder dinner over Zoom?
Oh yeah, yes, it's a Haggadah. I made a Haggadah over Zoom for this year. That was a cool experience. I think one last thing on the Pishapacia zine is that that was an experience I had with games, and it was a tough autumn I had. But to answer your original question, I make games that can wrap. If I can package this up into a game, I can sort of process this feeling, And this was a game moment, so I can handle that.
Yeah, that's really powerful. And I'm also just super impressed at the density with which, in just a few pages, you got all that across. So bravo.
Thank you. Someone asked in the chat, is it with a regular deck of cards? And Pishapacia is with a regular deck of cards, yeah.
Yeah, it looked like it played a bit like, and you mentioned this, and it played a bit like War.
It's a bit like War, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Hexadecimate, the artist is, there's one artist who's a little tough to find online who did the Frogboard stuff, and Jess Taylor, we can find on Twitter, did the Cool Wish stuff.
Are you working on stuff now? Do you have anything cooking, or do they?
Got so much stuff.
Any stuff that's likely to pop up on your itch page soon?
Well, I just had one thing pop up.
Yeah, man, he launched something earlier.
I'm sorry.
It was
I mean,
just
no,
like,
I wouldn't ask.
man,
But
you have something before midnight that's
I
going
kind of
on.
expect something every few hours from him now.
Yeah, I've got. Let's see. What am I? I'm actively supporting a Python to Markdown library for Python module because there is auto documentation for Python, but I don't like the output. It doesn't look good, and it doesn't output directly to GitHub. So mine does. So I made tools for me to document my own work, and I was like, well, I don't want to keep copy pasting this into my own library, so I'm just going to upload this.
I like that. That's the impetus for making it public, just so that you can pip install it on your.
Yeah,
your
I just want to pip
systems.
install. I don't want to have to keep doing this. This is dumb. And as it happens, that was relatively simple to detach because it is an auto documentation program. So it generated its own documentation for itself, and then I have then I'm all set. So that didn't take too long. So besides the thing that's up, I made over the summer a mecha roguelike, which in a rare twist is like not that substantial, and I just made for fun.
It did.
Did you end up launching that?
I think I say that pre-orders are available, and I'll get back to it at some point.
This is Mecha Armor Showdown?
Yeah, Mecha More Showdown. Yeah, Mecha MO.
I saw it first. I was like, wow, this seems surprisingly conventional for Seth.
It's extremely conventional.
It's like all of your rivals are really hot.
Right.
Flirt with your lovers. Like, oh yeah, no, we're off the beaten path with our Mecha Armor.
It's got cool mecha names. The mecha names I spent a lot of time on. They're very good. There's the Foxtrot and the Carapace and the Sentinel and the.
It sounds like a pub name.
The Sentinel? Yeah, Sentinel's.
No, the Foxtrot and the pub. So quick bit of trivia for those of y'all who are familiar with the Indie Game Collective. Seth was the first French guest ever, way back in. Do you remember that 2000 and? When did the Indie Game Collective start? This was over at Summit.
Was I the first one? Is that true?
You were absolutely. Yeah, you were absolutely. You went to me and Michael, and you're like, I want to talk to you, and we're like, we're doing a Friday launch, and so you.
Oh yeah.
You were the inaugural.
Yeah. That's amazing. Right, I was the first. Cool.
Let's just say you invented it.
Do you think you invented it? It's yours. It's the Seth Alter Friday launch. Do you think that you would ever? This is a loaded question. You're not supposed to ask a yes or no question. What would bring you back into games full time, if anything?
So again, I do software development with Python and Unity full time. So from the technical standpoint, I'm doing largely the same work. And what would pull me from that professionally, I don't think I'd work on my own studio again. I think I straight up wouldn't. And what would pull me to jump ship from what I'm doing is even more interesting puzzles and better health insurance. But I have very good health insurance. So you just have to really try. That's the actual answer. I'm actually very content with where I am. And I think that I am that is a loaded question.
It's totally loaded, and I know it sounds like you found your happy place with being able to do these projects alongside of your main work, and not to have to slog and to worry about the PR and the marketing and the whole.
I don't miss that at all. I don't miss that at all. I think the one thing I do miss is that I miss mentoring people, and that's been I've been really feeling that now that I can't see anyone either. I miss looking at people's shitty code and being like, that is shitty code, and I will show you how to do better.
Maybe that's something we as the Boston Indies community can do more of. Set up some more.
So yell at each other about,
Connect people to yell
hey,
at
your code,
shitty code.
your Python is not PEP 8.
It's poorly documented. Have I got something for you?
Have I got something for you?
Awesome. So we're about out of time. Where can people follow your work and connect with you?
Well, should I drop the links into Twitch?
I think just Salmon. Chris will do it because we pay him for something.
Oh, okay. Well, you can find me at subalterngames.com. On itch, I'm subalterngames.itch.io, and you can find me on Twitter at subalterngames.
That's a threefer right there.
Yeah, no one's got that name for some reason.
Nice. This was a joy. I miss. It's been too long since I talked to you. I miss you. I haven't talked to you in.
I miss you. It's been too long. Yeah. One day when this is all over, we're going to go to whatever pub's left in Boston, and we're going to have a blast.
Oh my gosh! I now remember making friends, making games. That didn't we talk about this last time? The what is it? Closed down.
Flat Top.
Flat Top. Yeah, Flat Top's closed down, and everybody else is closing down. Maybe, since you're out of indie games, you could start a pub.
Maybe. You want to start a pub together?
Let's do it. Let's
Sure.
I had this dream. Look, I'm gonna let us out on this show with this vision. I was thinking earlier. I said to my wife, let's go to Thailand and then just buy a cafe, and then we could just have all our friends working from that cafe, and there would be like great drinks and food and so forth. So like just that except for.
I feel like that's called colonialism, but I hear you.
I don't look. First of all, being half Japanese, my people have colonized a lot of things. So, Mister, that is no. We don't have to open up a cafe at all, Seth.
I'm just saying.
I retract it.
Is it work around?
What's that?
Is it work around? How are we doing this?
This is hypothetical. We're not really doing a cafe. We're not moving to Thailand.
The good news is that right now we're about to transition to a happy hour that is happening now. We can all join it on this Zoom. No danger of colonializing much of anything. Chris is going to send out a link in the Slack. Join us in the happy hour, and we can all carry on our merriment without worrying about accidentally oppressing someone.
That sounds great.
All right,
Thank you so much for having me on. This is a blast.
Thank you. Back to you, Chris.
Thanks for joining us. Let's give Seth another round of applause. And I'm gonna put the link to the happy hour will be in the events channel on the Slack. And that's going to be it for this year. We'll be back in 2021 on, I already forgot the date. I think it's the 6th or something. 8th. It's either the 6th or the 8th we'll be back. Next week, Boston Game Dev Holiday Party. Information is all over the place. You can find it on the Boston Indies Twitter. Is probably the fastest way. I'm just going to post it again. Why not? You better come out. I prepared a lot of stuff for this thing. So please join us next week. And happy hour link in the events channel in just a sec. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye.